Hello. Welcome everyone. I am ahead of schedule today and have arrived because the Armageddon game between Wesley So and Magnus Carlsen has just begun. So we are going to look at Anand's game against Topalov very soon. But for now, we will focus on this game that is taking place between Wesley and Magnus because they drew already in their classical game and it is already Armageddon time. So Magnus has 7 minutes, Wesley has 10 minutes. Magnus has just moved his knight to a5. Let's take it from the top to understand what is happening here. A very warm welcome to everyone in the chat. I hope you can hear me well and let's get cracking. So, how did the game begin? E4 by Wesley, E5 by Magnus, very solid. Magnus needs just a draw. Wesley must win. Knight F3, Knight C6. Let's see if he can beat the world champion on demand. Bishop C4. It's the Italian on the board. Knight to F6, D3 played. Bishop C5. And now comes Bishop to G5. So Wesley is like, okay, although you have not castled, I'm still going to pin your knight on F6. H6 played. Bishop H4, D6, C3, A6, A4 in the position. Bishop A7, Knight BD2 played. Queen E7, short castles, and now comes G5. So Magnus Carlsen is pushing away Wesley's bishop and saying that, look, I have not castled my king, so I am not averse to pushing my kingside pawns. Okay, Wesley says this is exactly the kind of chess I need in a must-win situation. Knight h7, very interesting move by Magnus because he wants to go with his knight to f8 and maybe to g6 or e6. Okay, b4 played in the position, knight to f8 played, b5 pushing the knight away, knight a5 by Magnus. Wesley goes bishop d5, just poking the position a little bit, maybe threatening b takes a6 so that then the rook would hang on a8. c6 played here. He played bishop a2, knight to g6, and then rook to b1 was played by Wesley So. Magnus now took, and we are in the live position as of now with Carlsen having only 4 minutes on the clock, Wesley So having 8 minutes, but Carlsen has the drawing odds in the game. So that's what makes this match very interesting, this game very interesting. Let's see how this continues now. I'm just checking if there is a lag on other platforms. A slight lag actually, but maybe we can check it there. What do you say, guys? Let's try to look at over here. C takes b5 has been played, and here c takes b5 has not been played. तो अपन थोड़ा ऐसा switch करेंगे, but let's look at it here now. He takes c takes b5, actually not the best move. Maybe g4 was perhaps the best move in the position. And here Magnus Carlsen down to 3 minutes 54 seconds. Wesley So फिर भी जब, like, when you know that the other place there is a proper time going on, then you don't feel like watching it here. Yeah, maybe better that we look at it on chess24 itself, because there they are moving rapidly. Okay, so now h3 has been played by Wesley. Magnus has 3 minutes 30 seconds, but also white's position looks slightly doubtful. Oh my god, the h file is opening up. He's going to take with the h pawn or with the bishop. Let's see. Magnus Carlsen thinking he takes. Now knight h2, attacking the g4 pawn. You see the queen and the knight both are attacking, but Magnus comes in with knight to f4. Can we take knight takes g4? Not really, because then the queen can move to g5 followed by queen h5 or on the h file, and the attack can break through. Wow, this is very exciting. Is Magnus Carlsen going for the win? A draw is okay for him, but the position is not one where there can be draws or something. It's going to be do or die now. Wesley taking his time. He has 7 minutes on the clock and it's a good moment to invest his time. on the clock. Guys, what do you think? Will Magnus win this? I mean, Magnus needs a draw to get that half point, because right now both of them have 1 point each. Magnus wins, he gets 1.5. I mean, black draws or wins, and if Wesley wins as white, he gets 1.5. Guys, Vishy, we will see after this. Just next 7-8 minutes. Yeah, after that we will switch to Anand's game. Knight to f4, and now maybe the question is, what should he do? Wesley taking his time. Knight c4 looks like an option, because really, what is black threatening? Black does not have any threats on the g2 pawn. He also, right now, he is threatening the d3 pawn. So if you can protect d3, that should be good enough. Long term, yes, the queen might want to switch over here and create some play. But yeah, I think knight c4 is the best move here. And I believe Wesley So, after taking so much time on the clock, will play it. So if he doesn't do knight c4, and if he says, suppose takes this bishop f4, then here black has a tremendous move which simply ends the game. You know, what's the move? The move is queen h4. And you might be wondering, how is it winning? Because bishop g3 is coming. But bishop g3, what's the move? Guys, very quickly, black to play and win. Who is the one who's super alert here in the chat? As yes, Surya Thangavel, Mistadam, Paras Bhoir, Deepak Kanan, Akshay Mohan, Ashok Chess. Fantastic. The pawn is pinned here. You see the bishop? It's looking here. So you actually cannot take. So knight f4. And now d4 played by Wesley. But I think he's missed a very powerful move here. Magnus is thinking, but I think there is a very strong move in the position. Guys, can you find it? Black to move. I think Magnus is going to find it. Paras Boyer, well done, Paras. Excellent. Jai Krishna. Ramit Malhotra, well done. Sarbajit Mazumdar. Swarna Ghosh. Excellent. Arpan Mitra. Knight h5. Magnus Carlsen finds the move. And now the bishop is hanging. And I mean, it's not hanging because there's a pawn. But if this pawn moves here, the bishop on a7 is like, wow, what a diagonal here. Straight to the king. The bishop on a7 is a monstrous piece sitting there. Now Wesley is kind of minus, like almost close to a terrible position. But Carlsen has only 2 minutes on the clock. And there's no increment, guys, until move 40. We are on move 23. So Magnus has to make 17 moves in 2 minutes. It's not going to be easy. Not going to be easy at all. Knight h5. What does Wesley So do now? Actually, he's taking his time. He doesn't want to. I mean, he would love to move his bishop away, but there's no square available. Knight takes g4. Looks horrible. Yeah, knight b3. That's the best move because now he has solidified his d4 pawn. So Wesley is like, okay, even if you take on g3 and I take back, yes, it opens up my bishop's diagonal, but my knight on b3 is well positioned. So knight b3 has been played. Yes, this is an Armageddon. This is the Armageddon. And what did Magnus do? Oh, Magnus went knight d8. Magnus did not take on g3. That is a big surprise. And now Wesley can play queen d3 and support his bishop with the queen. That would be excellent. You know, just moving his queen up. Even, I mean, why did he play his knight here? Maybe he wants to get knight e6, knight f4, get the other knight into the game. Looks very suspect. Very suspect now. And with 1 minute 40 seconds, Magnus Carlsen's chances of holding this game seem very low. You know, the thing which I really enjoy watching Magnus is when he's in tough situations. And he really shows why he's a world champion. Have you guys seen that video of him playing against Bill Gates? he takes like 30 seconds on the clock, and at some point Bill Gates starts playing well, and I'm like, maybe Magnus, if he gets down to like 10 seconds or something, what will he do? And he just checkmates him with many seconds on the clock. But it was very interesting. By the way, I do understand why Magnus went knight d8, because somewhere he thought that after knight takes g3 here, fg3, the f7 pawn is weak, and queen g5 giving up that pawn would have been nice, but he did not like it. So that's the reason why he went here, and now he's gone queen g5, and now Wesley has 3 minutes 5 seconds. Shwetank says Bill Gates played trash. Yes, after a point, but at least his opening moves were pretty decent. And when you have 30 seconds, you can get really nervous. And here, once again, Magnus has 1 minute 33 seconds, but Wesley is taking so much time on the clock. Actually, Wesley's only move to stay in the game is rook e1 here. And he plays it, but knight c6 by Magnus Carlsen. He's attacking the rook here, and also the pawn on d4. I think he can just take it. Now take on c6, b takes c6, and then swing the queen over to a1. Queen a1 attacking the bishop and the rook. Queen a1 played on the board. Wow! Rook b8. Oh my god, b3 is hanging. Can he take on a7? But then rook takes b3. Will Wesley go and save this? No. He took on a7. Rook takes queen a2 on the board. Who is better? Oh my god, if the rook moves away, queen takes f7 is a mate. Om Gupta, thank you so much for becoming a member and backer of Indian Chess. Guys, this is the Armageddon game. Their main classical game ended in a draw. Whoever is able to win this wins the Armageddon. But if it's a draw, still Magnus wins. But Magnus has only 37 seconds on the clock. There's no increment until move 40. And after move 40, there's 1 second increment. When you're playing over the board chess, what does 1 second increment mean? You make a move, it's 1 second. He goes rook b7. I think he will take now. Take on b7, bishop b7. Whose king is weaker? Maybe after rook b7, bishop b7, can we move in with the queen to a7? Wesley taking his time here. He knows that the victory is pretty close. He takes, moves the queen, and then the bishop goes back. So this happened. He took the rook, bishop takes, queen a7 and bishop c8, queen goes to c7. And now Magnus can actually castle. And he castles on move number 35. He has castled. That's pretty late. And now black king looks a bit safer there. Queen f6 has been played, hitting the d4 pawn. You need to defend it, rook d1. Okay, they are moving close to move number 40. So I think Magnus might not lose on time. Oh, this didn't happen, guys. Sorry. c5 happened, and Magnus only needs a draw. Queen takes, bishop e6. So Wesley is a pawn up, but his pawn structure is utterly ruined. While Magnus right now has a good pawn structure, and also on time, we have now gone into that 1 second increment mode. So there was rook c8, queen d6, queen g5, queen f4, queen c5. And maybe Wesley is now better. He is maybe better here if he plays the move e5, because e5 cuts off the queen from the king side, and Wesley taking his time. That's good news, because e5, maybe then his king would be very safe on h2. He plays e5. He plays e5. Rook goes to a8. And now can we go king h2? Yeah. Oh, he played, what did he play? Queen g5 check, king h7 on the board. King h2 played. Guys, maybe there is a mate coming in. Rook. Oh, what? Queen h5 check, king g7. Where's the mate? Where's the mate? The king is running away. Oh, or queen h5 check, king g7, knight f5. No, it's not so clear. It's not so clear how to win. Check. Oh, knight f5. What a move by Wesley So. Because if bishop takes f5, queen f6, king h7, queen takes f5. Beautiful move. Magnus is lost. Wesley is winning. Oh, his time is up. His time is up. Queen f5. Take the bishop. Take the bishop with a check. He takes king f6. And now how do you finish this off? Queen f6 check. Okay, king h7. Draw is not good enough for Wesley, but he's winning. He's totally winning. 1 second increment. Now 50 moves have been completed. So both players have a second. And he resigns. He resigns. Wesley has won. Magnus Carlsen resigns because let's say if you go king h7, at the very least you have queen takes f7 check. King here. You can go queen h5 check. And now after king g8, you can move in with your rook check. And it's over. You lose the queen. What a game by Wesley So. Towards the end, Wesley showed brilliant finishing technique. Firstly, this move e5, cutting the black queen off. Then rook a8. He brings his queen in to g5, gives a check. Magnus goes here. King f8 would have been better. But Magnus thinks his king is safe here. Wesley says not really. King h2. My rook can join in via h1 later. Check. King here. And I think this move was the epic move. Knight f5 check. What a nice move. Because, okay, he could have given check here. But then after this, there is nothing happening. But once he gave knight f5 check, check, take, check. And this was resignation. So, very nice game. And Magnus loses. He gets only 1 point. Wesley gets 1.5. Time for us to go to the game of India #1. Vishy Anand, who has been playing against, whose opponent is Veselin Topalov. And guys, I must tell you, I spent my evening today around couple of hours reading about Veselin Topalov and the rivalry of Vishy Anand from this book, The Anand Files. I'm going to tell you all about it as we move along today. If you guys are keen on knowing, it's amazing. They played the World Championship match in which year? Does anyone in the chat know? Oh, let me flip the board. Yeah, for sure. They played the match in which year? For now, by the way, Vishy has actually pinned his bishop here. 2010, Aditya Bhopale, Rishabh Sharma. You guys know your history. Mukunda Krishna, Akshay Patil, Mudit Bharadwaj. Yes, they played in 2010 against each other. And it was an intense World Championship match. Like, seriously, the number of things, the number of ups and downs that happened in the match were too many. And I'm going to recount a few of them as we go through the match today. You will get to know the entire. I mean, I was shivering at some point when I was reading it because there were so many twists and turns. And I think when Vishy's biopic will come, the movie on his life, I think this match against Topalov will have the most exciting scenes. Why? You will get to know. By the way, first of all, Vishy has just pinned the bishop here and also the bishop is hanging. But it's not a piece loss because black has one move, white has one move in the position. Can you tell me what the move is? Guys, white has one move to save. Yes, Volcano match got delayed. Varun Singla, you are right. Atanu Sarkar says, Sagar bhai, please explain the point system. So, Atanu, the point system is 2 hours to each player for the entire game. Okay. But after 40 moves, you get 10-second increment. No time increment, but 10-second increment after 40 moves per move. If the game ends in a draw, then it's not over. Both players get 1 point. But they go into an Armageddon, and the player who wins the Armageddon, white has 10 minutes, black has 7. Draw means black wins. And in such a situation, whoever wins gets half a point more. So 1.5 and the loser gets 1. But if someone wins the classical game, they get 3 points. And that's the reason why right now in the standings of this tournament, we have Vishy Anand leading the show here. I can just show you right now the standings here. Vishy Anand is leading with 3 points along with Wesley So now on 4.5 because he beat Magnus Carlsen in Armageddon. And Magnus is on 2.5 now because he got only 1 point. So Anand, let's see how he fares today. By the way, the question that I had asked all of you was what was happening in this position, and let me see how many of you managed to get the right answer here. There's no chess board. Array, chess board kahan hai? Chess board is here. Knight b3 is the correct move. Fantastic job done by Jai Krishna, Aditya Kochar, Rajam Shankar, Aniket 12th B, Mistadam, Bondita, Yuvraj, Shreyas, Gaming Star, and Rakshit Singh. So that has been played on the board. Knight b3 has happened. And now the bishop is defended at the same time. Look at this. The queen is attacked. So now Anand can say that, hey, look, I can actually increase the attack on the piece once more. And he can play this move. And actually speaking, it might be interesting for here, like if you play rook c1, so already a terrible move. This is a winning position for black. You know, you think rook c1 is normal. Let's play it. Why is this a blunder? Black to move, guys. Yes, I will show the game from start. In a bit. Let me first just get you acquainted with this position of Anand. Why is this a blunder? Rakshit says, why not queen e8, eyeing the a4 pawn? That's also possible, Rakshit. Like you are saying that in this position, why don't we go queen e8? And this is definitely possible. Maybe he goes queen b5, trying to exchange. And notice how you can't take the piece here. You might think, oh my God, it's a free piece for me. Back rank. Akshat, thank you so much for being member for 16 months. He says, thanks for the coverage, Sagar. Thank you so much, Akshat. Okay, so by the way, Vishy does play queen c7. And now if Topalov plays rook c1, then let me see if our chat is as strong as I thought you guys to be. Knight bd7. I'm going to give this move to the people who wrote nbd7, not to nd7. Why? Because, so look at this. If you play knight fd, because both knights can go. If you play this, there is still a fighting chance after queen d4, because there will be back rank threats here. Look, takes, and now take here. You can't take because of take, and checkmate. Back rank threats always in the position. So that's why it was important to write nbd7. This knight. And those who wrote NBD7, Arvind Chess, Mistadam, Roshan Tiwari, Chess Wizard, Neeraj Thakur, Satvik Tandon, Diptanu Chakraborty, Harsh Mittal, Indumati, and Rayan Mohammed. Well done, guys. So that leaves me actually with a question for all of you. What is Topalov going to do? Is he losing a piece here? Because look, his bishop is hanging. It's attacked once, twice, and thrice. And he's got it defended only twice. He needs to defend it one more time. But he cannot defend it successfully because of knight d7 things. So what does he do? Anyone? So I have some very interesting options coming up here. And I want to also check in chat moves, what moves. But oh, very nice. Sarbajit Majumdar. Bondita Bhagwati says, let's take this pawn. Bondita is very smart. Okay. Bondita says, take this pawn, because if bishop c5, then knight c5, or even queen c5, knight c5, rook c5, and back rank mate. Well done, Bondita. But what is Bondita missing in this position, guys, after queen b4? Now, black to play. Can you find the winning move here? Yeah, exactly. This is the move that all of you have missed. I mean, all of you have found, which was missed by Bondita here. The move is knight a6. Excellent job by all of you, attacking the queen, also the bishop. And the right move has been given by Parth, Alok, Jai Krishna, Paras, Piyush, Pushkar, Greedy Veedy, Dharmista, Peter, and Venkat Raman. Excellent. So, you can't play queen b4. Now, if you can't play queen b4, what do you do? What do you do in this position is a very natural question. You can't go rook c1. You can't move your bishop away because your queen is hanging. You can't take this pawn. And so the move that is suggested by many of you is queen b5. Excellent. Excellent. And now you guys have got it right, because it's actually an empty threat. There are not 3 attacks on the bishop. There are only 2. The reason being, there is a back rank mate in the position, so you can't take that bishop thrice. And so just moving it away is a very good idea. But at the same time, you need to stay in touch with the bishop. You can't play something like queen e2, because then after bishop c5, knight c5, queen c5, there is no another take on c5 and rook d8 mate. So your queen has to remain nearby. So that's why I was thinking, could we have played queen d4? But that fails to knight c6, attacking the queen here. So that's the reason why he now has to find the, not the only move. Queen b5 is one move. Rakshit had mentioned an interesting move, knight e5, and actually that has been mentioned by a few of you as well, and very, very nice, interesting move. Because see, first of all, this bishop is not hanging at all, right? Because as we discussed, take, and back rank mate here, correct? So that's one thing, and knight e5 stops knight d7 plans in the position. But does it? Can I go knight d7? Oh, but then bishop e7 is hanging, right? Yeah, bishop e7 is hanging. And my question to you is, after queen takes e5, which is a free piece, what's the move here for white? How can you play knight e5 giving up a free piece? Cubing for life says, I think after queen b5, a6 doesn't work because of queen b6. Absolutely right. I think so as well. Queen b6 is the move. Yep. Again, the chat is in tremendous form here. I have nothing to doubt on your abilities, guys. Alok, Rahul, Indumati, Surya, Rakshit, Dharmista, Krish, Mistadam, Neeraj Thakur, Mitesh Borkhetar. Yeah, fantastic job, guys. Bishop takes e7. This rook is a paper threat. It's a paper threat here. It's one of those things which, okay, yes, you are threatening to take, but there is a back rank mate. So you cannot do this. So knight e5 also possible. But queen b5 looks like the most interesting. And after a6, now actually queen b6 is possible. But now there is another move here. Can you tell what is the move that white has? White to move. Guys, what's the move? No, this is the beauty of chess, you know. Oh, by the way, Topalov has played queen b5. Awesome, awesome. Topalov showing his class. And a6 here, the move that I am expecting from all of you is queen b4. Pushkar, Neeraj, Pranav, Jai Krishna, Swagato, Diptanu, Bhumika, Kundan, Shriyana, Haripriya, Banu. You know, you take, there is no knight a6 now. The pawn has come there. It's a small difference, but now you can take it. So that's the change in the position. So queen b5 on the board. Let's go from the beginning and see what happened in the game. d4, d5, okay? c4, d takes c4. This is known as the, what's the name of the opening, guys? In 3 letters. In 3 letters. Not more. In 3 letters. Let's see how many of you can guess it. What is the name of this opening? QGA. QGA, because Queen's Gambit accepted. This is known as Queen's Gambit. When you put your pawn on c4, it's Queen's Gambit. When I play e6, it's Queen's Gambit declined, QGD. But when I take it, it's Queen's Gambit accepted. Topalov says, Vishy, you're going to play this against me. I'm not going to go easy on you. Oops, sorry, I didn't go easy on me. I'm going to go e4. I am attacking your pawn now and I have a strong center. Vishy says, okay, Wesley, I know you love to attack. And I also know that the traditional ways to play here are e5, knight f6, c5, all these things. But We are in modern chess. By the way, Kimaya, thank you so much for becoming backer of Indian chess. I'm going to push my pawn to b5. I'm going to preserve my pawn. This is as risky chess as you can get. a4, hitting that pawn. c6. And Anand says to Topalov that, look, I'm not afraid of your taking here and taking here. If the pawn was on e3 here, white is winning. But with the pawn on e4, white is not winning. Can anyone tell me, if the pawn was back on e3 here, why is this position winning for white? Just one move, white to play. Yes, Venkat Raman, Arvind Chess, Rajam Shankar, Surya Thangavel, fantastic guys, beautiful. Queen comes to f3. I can't make the move because I'm holding the pawn in one hand. But queen comes to f3 and the rook is hanging on a8. It can't be saved. So that is the reason why it cannot be played here. But here it can be played with the pawn on e4. Okay. Knight c3. Vishy now pushes the knight away. Now, many of you will be like, you know, when I was young, my coach told me, develop your pieces in the opening. And when someone attacks you, then okay, fine, you can move your knight away, maybe goes to g3, but Topalov goes to b1. Shocking move for many. But guys, look at this. What does Topalov want is he's going to win this pawn, and he maybe wants to take this pawn even with his knight perhaps. Bishop a6 by Anand, clinging onto the pawn. Queen c2 played by Topalov. Queen takes d4, giving up another pawn. Typical Topalov. Knight f3, hitting the queen. You know, Topalov is such an aggressive player. There was a period in the world of chess where Topalov had become world number 1. And he had won this San Luis tournament in 2005. It was an 8-player tournament. And if I'm not mistaken, he had started off with 6.5 out of 7 or 7 out of 7. And there is a typical thing that Topalov does in his games. He's very famous for it. Does anyone know what it is? There's this thing he does. It's a way of... but let me see if someone knows already. Very creative. Exchange sack. Pranav Dandekar. Yes, very right. Exchange sacrifice. Saksham Kaul. He loved to sacrifice a rook for a bishop. And he used to do that so many times. Bishop c4. And here you can see he has given up a pawn. If you count the number of pawns on the board, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Black has 7 pawns. White has 6 pawns. So why has he given up 1 pawn here? Can you tell me, guys? What's the reason? Activity, Srijit Mohanan, very good. Development, excellent. Initiative, yes. Activity, initiative. Also, no one is mentioning weak squares. Black is stuck. Garvit Kalra, that's good. Also, the weak squares here. c4 square is a weakness. c5 is slightly weak. These pawns, you know, all of this adds up. Now, Anand says my pawn on b4 is hanging. Now, if I am taking so much burden of getting a minus sort of strategically risky position, I should at least have an extra pawn. So, he preserves his pawn on b4 here. Okay. Topalov goes bishop e3. Now Vishy quickly develops, brings his knight out. Knight bd2 played in the position. Bishop e7 developed. Castles, and rook fd1. And now Vishy began to think. He started to think, I have an extra pawn. It looks good. Everything is great. But where does my knight develop? So he talks to his knight, you know. Hey knight, where do you want to go? Knight is like, oh, I want to go to a6, but I'll just lose myself. And this queen is sitting on d7. I don't like it. You know, please make the queen move away. Queen is like, where should I go? It's like, oh, go to c7. But on c7, the rook will come here, and then the knight will anyway not be able to move because c6 will hang, and then everyone's talking to each other, and there's no space in the position. So I was like, Vishy's like, okay, guys, calm down. what we will do is we'll give away one pawn because we have a pawn in order to equalize and to keep all of you quiet, and so that in future all of you are happy. I'm going to give up a pawn. And Wesley Topalov says, thank you so much, Vishy, because now I have recovered my pawn. But in return, now there is a pin, as we were talking about. There is a pin in the position. And now knight came to b3. So Topalov actually playing really well in this game. He's managing his imbalances so well. Now he goes queen c7. We have Effin line who has given a very nice here statistic or a statement. He says in 2005 San Luis, Topalov and Anand both started well, but Anand lost to Morozevich and Kazimjanov. Aha, very nice. So queen c7. Now I'm threatening here, but as we saw, now we analyze this. The queen comes to b5 here. Very nice move by Topalov, again finding the best move. Now Vishy pushes the queen away, and as discussed, the pawn on b4 is taken. Now finally the knight is like, someone remember me, remember that I need to develop. So what do you play now? Black to move. What is the move that black should make now? And you will notice that in order for Vishy to complete his development from being a pawn up, he's gone a pawn down. That is how things have changed. Knight c6, he hits the queen. And now this pawn is under pressure. So Topalov goes back to e1, and he is now controlled his e pawn, and he's saying, I'm a pawn up. And actually Anand has to now start proving his compensation here. This is not going to be easy, guys. The position is still filled with so many interesting imbalances, and I want all of you to tell me, what do you think should Anand play here? It's an interesting position. I want all the suggestions. I'm going to go through what you think. Akshay Avasti says, match over, Vishy won or lost. Akshay, the game is going on. This is the position on the board with Anand having 1 hour 13 minutes, Topalov having 42 minutes on the clock. And to figure out what should black do, you have to think a bit. Try to figure out. So I'm going to check out what are the moves suggested. Rook a b8 is the main move suggested by all of you. Okay, rook b8, rook a b8 I think is same. Knight e5 is another move suggested. Interesting. Bishop c5 is another move suggested. Knight a5 is another move suggested. A5 is another move suggested. Excellent, guys. We have so many options. You know, this is what I love about the chat and this feature, Chat Chess Moves, which has been developed by Keith Mascarenhas. I don't know if he's in the chat, but shout out to you, Keith, for this amazing thing, because I'm able to actually check what are the suggestions here. So taking it one by one, let's first look at Knight e5. Looks pretty good, looks pretty interesting, because now what you guys are suggesting that if he takes on e5, we will take on c5. That is your plan. Next move, I'm hitting the knight. So it looks pretty interesting. I must agree. But he might go rook a c1 here. It's possible. But knight e5, definitely worthy of consideration. Next move is rook a b8. Many of you have suggested put the rook here, attack the knight on b3. Okay, most likely he might take on e7 then. And then, okay, if we take on b3, then he will take on f6, ruin our structure on the king side. Not the end of the story, but we don't want to do that. So we will take back on e7. And now this is hanging in the position. And also, but we can go something like rook c1. And the point being that after rook b3, there is knight d4, hitting the rook and the knight. The knight can't take because rook c8 is hanging and rook b6 is met with a5. So all in all, This looks dangerous. Oh, by the way, Vishy has gone rook a b8 here. Akshay Mohan says after queen b5, why not bishop c5? You mean here, Akshay? In this position, after queen b5, why not this? Well, because he would take with the queen or he would take with the knight. Both look okay. And you can't take because of mate on d8. That's the reason. Now Anand has played his rook on b8 and he's telling Veselin Topalov that I am attacking your knight on b3 and if your knight moves, I will pick up the bishop. It's not an easy position, guys. Actually, for Topalov, there is an amazing move here. Okay. One is to take here. We were just looking at it. Take. But how easy or difficult, you tell me, is the move rook ac1? I mean, I just attacked your knight, didn't I? But I'm playing rook c1. And my point is the same as I explained to you. After rook takes b3, I will take on e7, queen takes e7, and now the next move, knight d4. And here's the point. If rook takes b2, then knight takes c6. And you might think, oh, what's the big deal? I will play my queen to b7. But guys, what is the winning move in this position for white? It's a very nice move. Let's see how many of you. I want at least 100 people to know this, to give me this answer. Yeah, Rakshit says rook a c1 was much easier to see after bishop e7, queen e7. Yeah, playing rook c1 first is just too deep, no? But maybe Topalov can play it if he is in his best form. You know, someone in Bulgaria might be commentating as well. And he might be saying the same things about Topalov. You know, this great player from Bulgaria who is the former world champion. Although he didn't win a world championship match, he won it in the 2005 tournament. But also he was world number 1. He has been one of the greatest athletes for his country. And he's still playing at even this age. He's younger than Vishy, but not by a big margin. And by the way, in the chat, we have 223 people saying 97. Fantastic job, guys. Akshay Mohan, Venkat Raman Satyamurthy, Arvind Chess, Anand Narayanan, Chess Unblocked, KK, Fabio Schwan, Saksham Kaul, Ishpreet Singh, Amit Sonigara. The move that, of course, is knight e7, forking the rook and the knight, rook and the king. And after queen e7, rook c8 is game over. So I think rook b8, rook ac1 seems like the right move. Pranjalya says looks difficult, but seems something that Topalov can find. Guys, Topalov, to tell you the truth, is such a amazing player because see, first of all, he won this match in San Luis, this tournament in San Luis in 2005, which gave him the right to play for the World Championship match, which he lost to Kramnik, a very eventful World Championship match, right? Filled with so many controversies and all. He was very close. It went into the tie break and then he lost. Then in 2007 or so, he played a match against Kamsky, which he beat him and got a right to challenge Anand, who had won the World Championship tournament in 2007. Like San Luis, there was in 2007 a tournament in Mexico. So Anand and Topalov match, sorry, he might have played it later actually against Kamsky, not 2007, because Anand beat Kramnik in 2008. Then Topalov played against Kamsky at some point, and Topalov-Anand match was finalized in 2009. They played in 2010 April. And in this book that I was reading, Anand Files, and you know, I made some notes here while I was reading. There are some amazing pictures. there are amazing stories. First of all, the entire match is covered chess wise. There are all the games. But even more interesting than that was how they all worked. Anand, how his team was chosen and how they were working. And I really want to read out one passage. By the way, moves have been played after rook a b8, bishop e7 has happened, and queen takes e7. So now, will Topalov play rook a c1? I think maybe possible, but he can also play knight f d2, taking care of this. But if you play knight f d2, the problem is that the rook is active, the other rook is active here, and then after knight e5, my knight is coming to d3, my queen can go to b4, the rook can come to c2. So I have play in the position, I'm active, I'm playing in. So Anand is happy with such a position. So Kazimjanov, Anand's team consisted of Kazimjanov, Surya Ganguly, there was Wojtaszek. So these were the three people. And one more guy. Anyone? One more person. Akshay Mohan says rook a c1. Yes, Pranav Dandekar is right. Peter Heine Nielsen, of course. Kanwa Sen Gupta, Tanay Bhagwat. You guys know your stuff. So, by the way, rook c1, if you go knight b4, that's one more suggestion. But I think after take, what's your next threat? Suppose I go rook c1 and you take, I take back with the queen because you want to take on e4, but there is queen c8 business here. So maybe not the best idea. So yeah, this is going to be interesting now. What does Topalov do? And so Peter Heine Nielsen was like the head of the team. And after their preparation for Kramnik match in 2008 in Bonn, all the team had become a bit kind of, tired, in the sense like everyone was, they worked so hard. And so one of the players who was very, very tired and had gone through some bad health after the match was Kazimjanov. And it's written in this book that Kazimjanov, when he returned from a holiday after the Kramnik match in 2008 and before the Topalov match in 2010, Anand unexpectedly asked him to work together for a week in Bad Soden. Bad Soden is in Germany, where Anand has his home in Germany. By this time, the Uzbek felt well rested, and during that week, Anand once again made a big impression on Kazimjanov. So Kazimjanov says this about Anand. Yeah, and Kazimjanov, by the way, was the former FIDE world champion and one of the top players in the world. And he's played against many matches against top players and so on. He says, we played many blitz games. And there are very, very few players with that kind of strength as Anand. It's difficult to pinpoint what exactly you learned during those blitz games. But one thing is that I'm probably a weaker player than I thought. It's incredible how easily moves come to Vishy. You tend to underestimate him because he doesn't seem to calculate. This is something that many people see, like Vishy plays so fast, they think he's not calculating. With most people, you see the process of calculating, but Vishy makes his moves instantly. It appears that some sort of analytical process in his brain never stops, but this process is not visible. Also, I learned a lot about endings, whether you can hold it as a fortress or not. Whether you can hold without doing anything or not, he's good at this. And this we have already seen before. Anand is amazing at understanding how much he can stretch his position, like this one, right in front of you. Anand understands how much can he stretch his position. Does he have compensation or not for the pawn? He assesses it pretty well, like b3 slightly weak, b2 weak, b4 square is weak, knight e5, the knight can go here if this knight moves away, and so on. And even through his sheer genius, someone would love to work with Vishy, like Kazimjanov. You know, even though the work schedule, the number of hours they worked was insane, the number of hours that they put in was huge. Yet, because you learn so much from a player like Anand, there were so many people who wanted to work with him. And by the way, Anand's team was simply amazing. The way he worked, the discipline with which they worked day in and out for the World Championship match, and Anand did that for 6 years. He did it against Kramnik, then he did it with Topalov, then he did it with Gelfand. I mean, that is just amazing. And by the way, this book really tells you a lot of things. Anand Files, it's called. It's the first link in the description and you can check it out. Really a nice book. By the way, meanwhile, while we are talking, knight fd2 was played in the game by Vasily Topalov. He has defended his knight on b3. And now the question to all of you here is, what should Vishy do here? In fact, what is the move that you guys think will Vishy play in this position? Let's see. Let's see. People are saying skip ad. No, guys, it's not skip ad. I would, you know, the thing is that there are certain books and overall the things that are written in that very useful if you want to know about Anand, if you want to know about his career and things like this, like to play so many world championship matches. Sometimes it's amazing. I can also show you some parts of it which you will understand the immense amount of work that they guys put in, like Ganguly, Peter Heine Nielsen, Kazim Janov, Wojtaszek, and all of them. So the thing is, here, let's look at what the chat is saying. 95 is what few of you are saying. That you want to put your knight in the center, it looks at the d3 square. Excellent, I like it. Knight b4 say a few people. Few people want to put the queen here. I'm a little bit doubtful about queen b4 because what's the queen doing there? I mean, it looks just a little bit, yeah, I don't think it's a very possible move. h6 also some of you want to play. In general, a useful move, saying to white that I don't believe that you have many good things to do or positive things in the position, so I'm okay. And I think Anand has very good chances of equality here. And a draw with black is a good result, guys. Okay. If, by the way, knight e5, I'm looking at this square on d3. What should white do? I think white will most likely defend it, right? With queen e2. He will look at this square. He will maybe bring his rook queen to a slightly more active square. Maybe look at this on a6. So then it is up to Vishy to figure out what he would do next. And here's an interesting move to just consider, queen b7, because now I'm looking at e4 and I'm also looking at b3. And if you go like, let's say f3, trying to sort of strengthen the center, now already this position starts to get worse for white. In spite of being a pawn up, he is worse. And here is a very typical move that black can do. Can you figure out what is that typical move in the position for black? Very nice move, by the way. Very nice move. And also, guys, please do like the stream if you're enjoying it. And also do subscribe. Let's try to reach 914,000 subs. Slowly and steadily moving towards the 1 million mark. Yes, rook c2. I like this move. What do you guys say? Rook on the 7th. Excellent. Move here. I love it. You know, just activate the rook. But there's also one more nice move, you know, and this move is very cool. That is h5. And you might think, what is happening? Well, h5 does a nice job because whenever f4 is played, my knight gets the g4 square. Secondly, I have gotten rid of back rank weakness. Thirdly, I want to maybe soften up your king side even further with h4, h3 in the position. So that's the reason why I think h5 is very cool. And here, the position actually can go in any direction. I would love if Vishy plays knight e5 here. That would be truly a nice move. By the way, we have some results today already which have come, which is MVL and Shakhriyar Mamedyarov have drawn their game. Also, Radjabov and Aryan Tari have drawn, which means they will also go into the Armageddon. So that means there are only two more games that are going on. One of them is Anish Giri taking on Wang Hao. Anish playing with the black pieces against Wang Hao. And the other game is Anand and Topalov. The last move was bishop c4. Wow, what a complicated and crazy position. What is happening? Guys, I don't understand one single thing. What a move, by the way, bishop c4. How much time did he take? Wang Hao had 1 hour 7 minutes. He took 12 minutes to find bishop c4. But why did he not take queen d7? Because he thought queen c5 check. And he maybe calculated it out to a draw here. Check, king c2, queen c5, and he thought it's a draw, which is a draw. But he then thought maybe I can play for a win. He plays his bishop here. And guys, if you now take, what's the point? What does he want to do now? White to play? Yes, chess is more than fun. Bhavesh Das. Queen Kirti Badole. Exactly. Queen takes D. What? Where did the game go? Sorry. Yeah. The point is after takes queen d7. And the main point is now there's no check here. So amazing move played by Wang Hao. And now Anish Giri has to find a crazy move here. He has to find an absolutely crazy move, which is rook c5. Very difficult move. Very difficult. And the point of it is that after takes, check, king d3, you have to then save your back rank with h6. I'm very doubtful that Anish can find all the tricks here. But it's a classical game. He has 1 hour 21 minutes on the clock. So if Anish can really focus here, he might be able to figure out the true intricacies of the position. He might also consider like takes, and this position after this h6. But that allows a trade of queens, and here you're just playing for two results. White wins or draw. But most likely white wins because it's equal number of pawns. So that's the reason why Anish has to find rook c5 here. And then after something like queen d7, rook c4, bring the king to the d file and then play this so there is no queen d8 check supported by the rook. That's how complicated this position is. But let's wait and see what Anish does. Meanwhile, let's go back to Anand's game and see what happens here. It's Vishy Anand to play. We are all waiting for his move. He has 1 hour 9 minutes on the clock. Ishu Bhushan says he has taken 40 minutes for the same move. KM Hong says if rook c5 then b3. KM Hong, the problem I think with rook c5 b3 is that bishop b3 should work, I feel. No? Bishop b3, king b3, and nothing's happening. There's not even a check. So actually, the move here is queen b4. And again, the point is if you take here, I have bishop b3. This is pinned. So it's doable. It's doable. Anish can find it. By the way, this has to come out of Anish's favorite opening, which is, guys, which is that opening that Anish would have played in this game? Any idea? Yes, Naidorf. Exactly. Parth G. Pushkar Dere. He played Sicilian Naidorf. And Anish is a big sort of an adherent, an exponent of this opening. And he played the Naidorf here. And he's also made course on it on Chessable. And he's very well versed with it. But somewhere I think his opponent came well prepared and has put him under tremendous stress. Anish had to sacrifice an exchange. Bishop e5. Check here. Take on c2. Take rook e5 and we reach here. I think Anish might have missed this move. And people are saying that somewhere Wang Hao thought for 40 minutes, but where? Not really. Not really. He was taking his time. He took like 12 minutes to find bishop c4. And now Anish has to figure out what to do. He's thinking for 4 minutes already. Rook c5 is a very, very difficult move to play. But anything apart from that is already difficult because I'm taking here and check and exchanging the queens. Now, Vishy Anand has gone for the move. Oh, just the move that I thought maybe Anand would not play has been played on the board. The queen has come to b4. And Anand telling Topalov that actually, Wesley, what is the move that you can play here? Can you tell me what is the move you can play? It's like, guys, sometimes there are these phases in your life, right? Where you have things going your way, like you're a pawn up. You have money, you have fame, you have everything, but you are so tied up with everything. You have to do this work, then the next work, then this work, go to office, go to gym. You have no time for relaxation. And that's the same thing with Topalov. He has an extra pawn, but this knight cannot move because this knight hangs. This knight doesn't even know where to move. It just cannot move. The rook here is thinking what to do. Maybe here. This rook cannot move because this falls. This pawn under pressure. So Anand, in spite of being a pawn down, does have some things going for him. It's freedom. I like the position. Anish is thinking 40 plus minutes, says Udit Agarwal. Acha. Anish is thinking from 40 plus minutes. Really? But here the time is showing wrong or what? Because it's showing Anish had like... Acha, maybe the clock is wrong here. And let me just check on the Chess 24 broadcast as to what is Anish's time. Anish has 50. Oh, he plays rook c5 after 37 minutes on the clock. So Anish, oh my god, Anish finds it. Anish finds rook c5, just so that you know I'm not kidding. Look at this. Anish actually finds rook c5. So this is the thing about great players, right? This is the thing. If you give them enough time, they can solve any damn position on the chessboard. Yeah, look at this. Anish now thought for 1 hour 22. Thoda maths karte hai. 37 minus 45 minutes and he plays rook c5. And he's telling his opponent, okay, you want to take this knight, I'll take this, I'll force your king here and then I will save my back rank. And also this really proves that point. And actually I was discussing this with Anish as well. That actually for these top players, the reason why they make mistakes is time. Generally, no position is super complicated. But if Wang Hao poses him with another problem, now Anish will not have 45 minutes to think. He has only 37 minutes. So then the mistake might happen. Maybe he'll take 30 minutes. Then he will be posed with another problem. So that's how top level chess works. If the players can solve the problems quickly enough, then games end in draws. Otherwise, the side with who poses enough problems can win. So queen b4 by Vishy Anand in this game. And I'm actually wondering if Topalov might be tempted to play a move like f3. But this is exactly the kind of position where Anand has brilliant compensation. And here's a move like knight d4. I come in with my knight. You take here. You have to take. Check here to the king. King h1. And now my rook swoops into b2. And all of a sudden, in this game, it's been like black is pawn up. Then white became pawn up. And now again, black is the one who's pressing. So very interesting game filled with imbalances all the time. Yeah, f3 is a horrible move, says Aryan Tari. Yeah, exactly. I don't like this move f3. But what do you do as white? I don't understand. Actually, I'm at a loss. Or queen e2. This is what Topalov says, Sagar. You are at a loss because you are an IM. You don't understand. I can just improve my position. It's a simple move. I'm looking at your pawn now. Now the ball is in Vishy's court. What does Vishy Anand do now? Again, an interesting position. People are saying check Magnus game. अरे Magnus का game खत्म हो गया. Magnus drew his classical game. Wesley So beat him. The stream started with that game. We saw it. We enjoyed it. We relished it. Do you think, guys, that if I play a move like h5, Topalov is going to be brave enough to take this pawn? Yes, he is. Very brave. He's very brave. He's going to take this pawn. So the threat is to take. And Vishy can be really cold-blooded and say, I'll play a5. I'll just save my pawn. But then he's giving up some squares. At least the b5 square is slightly weakened there and so on. I think what Anand could do here, and he might be thinking about it, is I'll go here. Okay, very simple move. I'm attacking your queen. I'm attacking your knight. You have to take it. So I take with the queen. Now my queen is in the center. I'm attacking your b pawn. If you are going to take on a6, then my rook comes into c2. My other rook is ready to come to b2. This is not a position that you are going to be happy with. But still, it's not so simple as well. Because if you go queen e2, you shouldn't be greedy enough to play rook takes b2. Why is this a blunder, guys? You have got these rooks beautifully positioned on the 7th rank. You are putting pressure here. Everything looks wonderful. But why is this a mistake? Let's see how many of you can find it quickly. White to play and win. What about knight e4? People are saying. But knight e4 isn't queen e4, okay? Rook d2 you want, huh? But then queen d4, yeah. Yes, Gauresh Khanolkar, you are right. He says, can someone please explain why not play h7 pawn ahead and give some space to the king? I agree, Ganesh, because these are the positions which kind of force you to make those moves. And the chat, as always, on the ball, Saksham, Diptanu, Sagar, Harsh, Rakshit, Nutan, Abhimanyu, Aditya, Neelab, Madhesh Kumar. I move my knight to c4. I say, take my queen if you want, but I'm going to take your queen. If you move your queen away, not there, somewhere else, I'm going to check you down there. It's over. Game is over. Take this, threatening a back rank mate, also threatening the b2 rook. So, it's not so simple to go into this line to understand that after queen e2, you have to play a move like h6 when you are 2 pawns down, and to understand that you have compensation. So actually, this queen e2 move by Topalov, top-notch move by him. And he's asking Vishy that what is it that you are going to do now is an important question. And Vishy has like 59 minutes. I don't know if the time situation is correct. Let me just check once more over there. What is the time situation? We can actually check. Oh my God, that has happened. Guys, the time situation is not 100% correct. But just look at this, so that you have an idea about what's happening. Vishy did go knight d4. Topalov did take. Vishy has 58 minutes on the clock. Topalov has 26 minutes on his clock. This is what has happened on the board. Knight, queen e2, knight d4, knight d4, queen d4 has happened. Topalov has 28 minutes and now he has to figure out what to do next. This is Radja versus Tari has started, the Armageddon. Or no, oh, they have started. Okay, let's also keep an eye on that. While Topalov, I think Wesley Topalov is kind of that player who, when challenged, will go and snatch this pawn. What do you think, guys? I think he'll take it. Because, okay, b3 is also possible. Just shanti se, b3, pawn up, very good, nice move, nice position. But I have a feeling that he might just go here. Because he will say to himself, look, he cannot take here. Because if he takes here, then after knight e4, queen e4, This is just extra pawn. I have 2 extra pawns here. They're just very strong. And if you can't take on e4 here, right, and you can't take on b2 because rook, as a famous youngster has said. And so here you have to play rook c2, but still you are not gaining any pawns because of the back rank problem. So I have a feeling that Topalov might go in and snatch that pawn. Meanwhile, let's quickly check the game between Radjabov and Tari, because Radjabov is in a must-win with the white pieces. So we will follow that game a bit because Radjabov is in a must-win. So it started off with, this is an Armageddon. And guys, all those who don't know the rules, white has 10 minutes, black has 7 minutes, no increment until move 40. After move 40, you get 1 second increment. If white wins, he gets the half point in the game. So from 1, he moves to 1.5 in the entire match. And if it's a draw, black is the one who wins. So white in a must win. Knight c3, Nimzo on the board, g3 by Radjabov. Maybe he's not showing his preparation of the candidates. d5, knight f3, d takes c4, castles, knight to c6, rook e1, rook b8, a3, bishop e7 played. Radja takes the center, knight a5, protecting the pawn on c4, also threatening to enter on b3. Bishop comes out, b5 played, queen c2, making way for the rook to come to d1. Very interesting and exciting position. Radjabov has 8 minutes. I have a feeling that in this format, white has an advantage. What do you think, guys? To get 3 extra minutes, that's a bit too much. Don't you agree? Don't you agree this, guys? I mean, I feel that clearly the side with 3 minutes seems to have a edge. Oh, Surat says Hikaru was saying he would pick black in the Armageddon. That's amazing. I think maybe Hikaru might be the only one who might choose that, right? Because the rest of the players, I mean, when you play 5-minute game, you have 1 minute edge, 5 versus 4. So here it should have been 10 versus 8, but they've made it 7. Okay, knight b3 has been played, and I think Radja might just push his pawn in the center. This game, I feel white is going to take home. Okay, now let's quickly check what's up with Vishy and Topalov. Topalov still thinking, yeah, he doesn't know whether he should take the pawn or not, or does he? Oh no, he plays b3. Topalov is like, calm down, Sagar. I'm not taking your pawn. By the way, a super chat by Sharat. He says, I don't know. And then he puts 2 eyes over there about chess. But you are too good of a host to miss out on this live stream. Thank you, Arit. Thank you so much, Sharat. That's so kind of you. I myself am so excited to follow these games because it's like these small little decisions. You know, guys, one of the things which I was reading in this book, and Anand goes at 6. Classy. You know that what Kazim Janov said? Anand is all the time calculating. He just knows how much compensation he has in the position. At the right time, he knows ki back rank bacha lo bhai. Save your back rank. And by the way, queen takes a6 now is a mistake. It's a mistake. Can you tell me why? Why is this a mistake? Yeah, and talking about this preparation, when Anand was playing Kramnik, right, in 2008, before the World Championship match, he didn't use his preparation in any of the tournaments leading up to it. And it's the logical decision, right? You've prepared everything for the World Championship match. It's the highest level match that is there. But what happened? Anand performed badly before the World Championship match. And his confidence took a beating. Although he won the World Championship match. And so he changed his strategy for the match against Topalov. What he started to do was, he started to play out his preparation. So things which were prepared for the World Championship match, he started playing it before the match. And everyone was a bit surprised that, oh my God, he's showing novelties in the Grunfeld and he's showing this and that. But for Vishy, it was like, what was more important? To feel good about himself before the match. And that's why he was doing that. And by the way, you guys should feel really good about yourselves because Rook C2 is the right move. Chess is more than fun. Diptanu, Rakshit, Naman, Som, Pranav, Himanshi, Harsh, Vignesh, Anmol. I plonk my rook on c2. And now, guys, the knight is tied up. Okay, handcuffs there. Can't move. Check here, mate. Khatam. So only move here is queen e2. But then comes, what's the move, guys? Very quickly, pinned piece must be attacked. Pinned piece must be attacked. Let's see how many of you can find it. Very quick. Yeah, some of you are super quick. Oh, look at this. Some of you want to take on d2. But guys, don't think opponent is your friend and will take with the rook, giving you the a1 rook. He'll take with the queen. And then you don't have that advantage. So you should be careful. Yes, the right move here is rook to d8. Fantastic job. Naman Puri, Aryan Kedia, Bhavya Rajdev, Utkarsh Mathur, Khush Jain, Diptanu, Prajnay, Junaid, Rakesh Kumar and Littu Thomas. You go rook d8. The knight cannot move really. If you play knight f3. Now, okay, let me ask this question one last time. How does black win here? Okay, I want to see how quickly you guys find the move here. Who's the first one? Oh, Diptanu, Chess Unblocked, Harsh Mittal, Tanmay Devi, Badrinath, Chandnagar SDU, Saksham, Karthik, Naman, Madhesh. Fantastic. Queen takes a1 is the move. What a move. What a move this is. Because now you can't take here. Your rook is pinned. And if you take here, I will take on e2. It's a free rook. Amazing move. So that's the reason why here queen takes a6 would be a mistake in the position. I don't think he will play. But h6 is a nice move. Actually, Anand is testing Topalov here really well. And I have a feeling that Topalov might go knight f3 here. And then he might start tempting Vishy. Do you want to take on e4? But then I'll take on a6. And then I will have at least this passer. So yeah, time-wise. True. Vignesh Subramaniam, you are very right. Topalov is 30 minutes behind with the new time control. Yeah. By the way, guys, did you notice that the badges on the channel have changed now for the membership? This has been changed by Amruta yesterday. And so all of you who are the members have these new badges around you. And thank you all for being members here. You get that small mark around you, which is very nice. And by the way, those who are not aware, all the money that we collect through memberships goes to a talented youngster. Every month we support them through our channel. So if you would like to support anyone, please do consider becoming a member. By the way, rook a2 played by Topalov. Topalov is like, Vishy, all these ideas of rook c2 are making me feel nervous. So I'm going to play rook a2, stopping all of these things. And now I'm seriously threatening to take on a6. By the way, Mr. Great 123 says, just logged in after a while. Did Magnus blunder? When I saw last, he was clearly winning. Also, potential retirement affecting Magnus's relay. What potential retirement? I don't think Mr. Great 123 is going to retire. But I think he drew his classical game. And then in the Armageddon, it was all down to last few seconds. And Wesley played really well. So I don't think there was too much to read into it by saying that, oh, he played poorly or something. It was a decent match. Kanwa Sengupta, thank you for becoming booster of Indian chess. Now Vishy needs to come up with another move, because this time I think this is hanging now. There's no rook c2 in the air. Why does 2700 chess show Vishy Topalov game as drawn? What? Really? Really? They drew? Am I behind on... Am I really so behind that the game is drawn and I do not know? No, guys. No, guys. The game is going on. The game is going on. I'm not commentating on some old game which has happened in the past and the result is already out and shouting like, oh my God, what's happening? No. Oh, by the way, let's quickly go to Radjabov's game, because here is a tactic which you guys should find. White to play while I drink my water. with its style. What's the white move here? And Aryan Tari has just 1 minute. 1 minute. Move number 25. 15 minutes before he gets 1 second increment. By the way, we had a member here. Yeah, Kanwa, thank you so much for becoming a member. Yes, bishop h8. Absolutely right. He has played it. And he has played bishop h8. But look at this. After bishop h8, he went f5. And now Radja went bishop f6. Interesting. King h7. Maybe better here was knight e5 first, putting it an intermediate move. But okay. Bishop f6, king h7. Swehil, who has been a pillar of Indian chess for 11 months, says, good to hear about support to Sharayu. Wishing her all the best. Thank you so much, Swehil. It's very kind of you. And now Radjabov has to figure out a way how to checkmate. He has 2 minutes, 53 seconds. A draw is not going to be enough, but I don't think it would end in a draw, yeah, right? The pawns are equal. The position is crazy. Can Radjabov take on f5, open up his rook on e1, but there is no e7 square because the bishop controls that square. What is he going to do? I think, oh, he goes knight to h4 and Aryan Tari quickly pushes his pawn to f4 because clearly the threat was to take on f5. So he played his f4. 2 minutes 15 seconds versus 51 seconds on the clock. Guys, Armageddon is nerve-wracking. And Armageddon is exactly the kind of thing that chess players are not used to. Because in chess, you can draw at any given point. But in Armageddon, you cannot draw. White is unhappy with a draw. A draw is like a loss. So you might as well lose trying. Queen to f3 by Radjabov. Don't trust this engine too much. But you can trust it a bit. It seems like a bad move. He wants to take on f4, the pawn. But I think black queen can move in on d2. And then if you go rook d1, I believe the move that may be very strong is either queen c2 or even bishop takes f2. And you can't take here because the rook would hang. And if you move the king away to h1, now queen c2 and h4 is hanging. So all these messy stuff happening in the game. He's played bishop d4. That was not a good move. Rook d1, queen a7, queen takes f4. Now Radjabov is much better in this position, maybe close to winning. Rook f7. How does white continue now? Can we push e5? Is that a good move? Push the pawn, open up the bishop here so that you can plonk your bishop on e4 and attack the g6 pawn. Radjabov has 1 minute 15 seconds. Aryan Tari has 20 seconds. 1 second increment starts after move 40. 1 second, I think, is a very less time when it comes to over the board chess. Because to make a move itself and press the clock takes a second. So he goes rook d7, but now can we go bishop e4? No, he goes king h1. He goes king h1. What is the problem for bishop? Because bishop e4, there was bishop f2 and then the rook on d1 would hang. So he played king h1. Now bishop takes b2 and now there is a deadly winning move, it seems. Rook d6, he finds it. Radjabov finds it. Knight c5 and now Radja is winning here. But how? I think he can still go. Yes, he goes bishop e4, knight e4, queen e4. He's winning, guys. Bar likes to dance. Bishop f7. He's defended here, but can we go like take, e6, queen e6? Queen e6. No. One second. Oh, that was a beautiful finish. Okay, I'll show you in a bit. But now Aryan Tari is fighting for his life because he has just 2 seconds left and he's already going to lose on time. I think he might lose on time. It's just impossible to play with this little time. I think he's trying, but Radjabov has just caught in and is going to checkmate. Game over. Queen g7 coming up. It's a mate. Yeah, Radjabov wins. By the way, the move that was very strong. By the way, Radjabov won, so it's not a big problem. But I think the move that was very powerful was take, e6, hitting both. If you take here, take here, and then bishop b2. And I think this should be a winning endgame. But maybe what Radjabov did was slightly better. I'm not sure, but he has won. And people are saying Vishy blundered. Oh my god, what did Vishy do? After rook a2, he played a5, which was a good move. And Topalov also used his time well. And now he played queen b4. Guys, where is the blunder? Blunder, blunder, blunder. I don't like. But blunder likes me. I can't avoid. Okay. Anyway, what? Where's the blunder? No, there's no blunder, guys. Acha ullu bana. Nice. Nice. Someone so proud of making a fool of a trusting commentator, a trusting creator, a YouTuber who believes his chat. Finally, being misled by the very people he trusted his faith in. Okay, anyway, queen b4. Vishy is hanging out there. He's asking Topalov, we are playing this game back in 2010, how we were fighting over the board, not giving an inch to each other. You want to move your knight? You will lose either e4 or b3. You want to play f3? That's not a good idea. It weakens your dark squares. Blunder master must be so proud. What's the time situation? Topalov has 18 minutes, Vishy has 50. And guys, time is going to play a massive role, right? Because after 40 moves, there's no increment in time. And by the way, this what happened to Anish's game very quickly. Shall we check it? Oh, yes, this has happened. What we were talking about. Oh, intense. Anish went rook c5, queen d7. He took here, king d3, and he found h6 as well. So Anish has 32 minutes. Wang Hao has 34. Anish is an exchange down, but Wang Hao's king is just exposed completely, while the black king is nicely sitting in his castle there. Very nice, safe king. So I think engines assess this as equal, but practically it seems that maybe it could be easier to play as black such positions, but we'll see. Let's go back to Anand's game and check what's happening here. While Vishy is thinking for his move, look at this picture, guys. This is the picture in this book. Very nice. And the thing is, some very nice pictures here. And what are these pictures is, in 2010, when Anand was going to play Topalov, the match was held in Sofia in Bulgaria. And at that point, when they were about to leave, there was a volcano that erupted in Iceland. Don't ask me how to pronounce that name of the volcano. It's very tough. It's called, I don't know what's it called. Yokul. Very tough. If someone knows how to pronounce it, can do that. So, in that, when the volcano erupted, all the flights were shut. And there was an Indian who lived, I think Anand was in Germany at that point, near Frankfurt. And there was an Indian who said that I will give my private jet to Vishy to fly from Germany to Sofia. But the skies were closed for any flights because there was this volcanic eruption and it was all messy. And that's the reason why Anand and his team had to take a minivan to travel from Frankfurt to Sofia by car. And it took them, I don't know how many hours, but they traveled before a World Championship match. And the thing is that the match had to be delayed. But back in Sofia, they were saying, why should we delay the match? Oh my God, it's a genuine reason. A volcano has erupted. But they were like, no. I mean, there's no need to delay the match. And Vishy had to figure out everything. And Aruna was, handling everything, like with the organizer, like the match has to be delayed. All India Chess Federation came into the picture. They made a petition for the match to be delayed. Finally, the match was delayed by a few days. And Anand reached there. And do you know which movie the entire team, which trilogy of movies they watched in the van? There was this, they watched movies over there. Of course, they discussed chess as well. Vignesh says Aruna found a clause in the contract. Yeah. Yes, Lord of the Rings. Exactly. They watched Lord of the Rings. And the funny thing was, when they reached, the movie was still left. So they asked the driver to maybe make a few rounds of the place so that they would reach, but still they couldn't complete. And I think they completed the movie on the next day. They met for an hour and they finished it. And actually the environment was quite hostile. I don't recollect anything at that point. I was 20 years old, so I knew that the match was going on, but I don't recollect any of the drama at that point. But I think the situation in Sofia was quite hostile in general, that, of course, there was a major support to Topalov. And here Anand is coming there with his team. And it was quite tough. And Vishy actually fought amazingly. That match is something which you all should know about. So we'll get some time, we'll talk about it. But Queen E1 played by Veselin. And if you have all this historical backdrop to the rivalry between Vishy and Topalov, by the way, I checked in Mega Database before I came to this live stream, and the first time that Vishy and Topalov played each other was in 1993. And the last game they played was in 2019 in Gashimo Memorial. And I think the last time that Topalov beat Vishy was in 2016. After that, or maybe not, maybe even before, I think Topalov hasn't been able to beat Vishy since a very long time, maybe not even 2016. It has been way before, maybe 2010. So I think Anand, if I'm not mistaken, maybe someone can correct me, but I think Anand has not lost to Topalov since 12 years now already. Yes, Eventos Plus says he mentioned it all in his book Mind Master. So there are two books of Anand, which I always say. And I was talking about that in the live stream when I was doing the super bet. One is the Mind Master, which is Vishy's own view about his life. You can get this autobiography by him. And the other one is Anand Files about his World Championship matches. This is also has chess in it, like there is analysis in it and stories and seconds who talk about everything. So you can basically, I would say, read both the books. Tremendous books to know about Vishy. Okay, Queen E1 has been played here in this position. Very solid move by Topalov. He's basically telling Anand that, Vishy, I don't think I have a way to make any progress. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play Queen E2, Queen E1, Queen E2, Queen E1. And shall we make a draw and go into Armageddon? But I might be completely mistaken. Do you know, guys, what is Sofia rules, by the way? Can we have a live board of Vishy's game from... Oh, that's a good idea, actually. It's a very good idea. Smart. Do you know what Sofia rules were at some point in chess? Yes, no draw offer. Correct. So no draw offer was called the Sofia rule, and if I'm not mistaken, it was because of Topalov that these rules came into existence. So Topalov was of this mindset that he would never ever offer a draw. And he would always keep fighting until the very end. Let's put it somewhere here. Let's try to here. I don't know. It's very difficult. Maybe this is the best place. Why to block the players here? Good enough. There you can see the time and everything, and I can move a little bit this side. Okay, so Topalov never agrees to a draw. And by the way, the time here shows Topalov has 12 minutes 55 seconds and Vishy has 44 minutes 53 seconds. So actually it's not a big difference, guys. It's just a minute difference on the clock. Jai Maheshwari says, let's go rook c3 and double the rooks. Very good, Jai. I like your suggestion a lot, because now I'll play rook c8 and it looks like a good idea. Any other moves, guys, that you think can be played in this position? What are the other moves? There is a 10-second increment after move 40. Yes. Rakshit says a minute will be lot when Topalov will be in seconds. That is true. Let's just look at what are the suggestions here. Rook d8, knight h5, knight d7. So rook d8 is what many of you want to play here. That looks interesting. I think it's a interesting move for sure. Rook c3 is one move. Knight d7 also looks very nice because you want to go to e5 and maybe to d3 or c5. So I like your move. Knight h5, I'm also very interested actually. Knight f4. So great moves suggested by everyone in the chat, guys. Good job here. Good job. I like it. I like your suggestions. Knight on f6 is not doing much, says Nitin Nilesh. Can be rerouted to a better place. Absolutely. When you think this way, it really helps. You ask yourself, which is my worst placed piece? And you say, oh, maybe it's the knight on f6, not doing much. Let me move it to another square. And then you move it. So Vishy is still thinking, oh, by the way, moves have happened. Vishy goes rook c3 as suggested. And Topalov now plays rook to b2. Topalov now defends his b3 pawn. And maybe he is planning to... I don't think knight b1, right? Because knight b1, there's rook b3. So he cannot still move the knight. Actually, white is pretty much tied up. And while, yes, many of you did mention that the knight is not doing much here, it is keeping pressure on the e4 pawn, stopping the knight from moving. And Topalov has very good chess understanding that he's not going to play f3 so easily in the position. So rook b2 has been played here. And now Vishy thinking, meanwhile, guys, we are just 258 subscribers away from reaching 914k. So please do subscribe, and if you're enjoying this, please do like the stream as well. Himansh says, Himanish Sarkar says, after knight h5, isn't g3 possible? But Himanish, this is exactly what you want. You know, you want to provoke weaknesses. And by the way, here's a nice tactic for all of you. Black to play and win. Look at all the loose pieces in the position. LPDO. Loose pieces drop off. Where is a loose piece and how is it going to drop off? No, no, no. Come on, think, think, think. Think, guys, think. I really want you to crack this. You have to look at the loose pieces. Yes, and so there is a race going on between taking on g3 with the rook or with the knight. One of them is right, one of them is wrong. The right move is winning. Mosumi, Tanmay, Amrit, Dakshat, Kisna, Saksham, Vibhanshu, Pranav, Jayant, 64 squares. Excellent job. Rook takes g3. And you'll be like, why should I sacrifice a rook, not the knight? Well, because the idea is not to mate him, because this is already protected. The idea is loose pieces drop off. Queen d4 check, and you go, and the rook is lost. Meanwhile, Vishy Anand has played his rook to d8. Okay, interesting move. This is very interesting. And I think Anand is threatening rook d3. Vishy is threatening rook d3 in the position. No? Yeah, exactly. Nilesh Jadial. Idea is rook c d3 to completely pin the knight on d2. It cannot move then. And Topalov has to take care of this. He has to think very carefully about what to do. And I think finally something has to give in his position, because Vishy, with this active move rook c3 and then the other active move rook d8, has somehow managed to create so much pressure that Topalov has to give up some material. And meanwhile, Topalov has only 10 minutes 47 seconds to figure out what to do. It's not a lot of time on hand. I think a very natural move here should be to play rook c1. What do you think, guys? Rook c1 should work, because then I can take, right? Take on e4, take on e4, queen e4, and black is doing well. I mean, black has recovered his pawn. Okay, white has also managed to kind of stabilize with rook d2. He has all the pieces of the board, and I think it's a draw. So a draw might be the most logical result here, but this might be the last move that Topalov has to play accurately. If he manages to spot this, he should be okay. Oh, he goes rook b1. guys, guys. Topalov is actually playing on. He's like, Vishy, I'm not going to give up my pawn. No. But Vishy is now having an excellent idea up his sleeve. Look at what these rooks are doing. These rooks are sitting in the office when actually it's the birthday of their kid at home. Something like that. Yeah, they're doing useless stuff right now on b3. And Anand can actually take advantage of this. And what is the best way to take advantage of this, guys? What do you play in the position? Rook c d3 is exactly what Topalov is preparing for, right? If you go rook d3, this is exactly what he wanted. Topalov is like, यही तो चाहिए था अपने को, knight c4. This is what he wanted. Now the queen trade, the rook is not pinned. Everything is good. a5 pawn under pressure. White is winning. Not winning. White is better. You have to play move like rook c3. Suddenly everything went wrong. So let me see what are the other moves that you have suggested here. The other move, and which is very nice, in knight d7. This move, if Vishy plays, this move, not rook c d3, but knight d7 if he plays, will be epic. And Rahul Agarwal, Amrit Raj, Badrinath, Dakshat Rawat, Satwik Dubey, Monil Mehta, Lalit, Soham, Jai, Parth. What's the idea of knight d7? Well, you want to go to c5. You want to go to d3. d3 is the juicy square. That is where you want to be. But will Vishy find a backward move like knight d7? I have my doubts. I have my doubts here. Let's have a look at what will Vishy play. After rook d1, Vishy has 38 minutes to figure out what to do here. 38 minutes. Abhinav says knight move has Sagar bhai, he'll find it. Actually, it's not the only move. Yeah, there is also a very interesting move, rook d4 here, putting pressure on e4. And I mean, these two rooks are just doing nothing. Topalov is taking tremendous risk with this move. He should have. I think this is what Topalov, it's not just him right now. This has always been his trait. He has been super ambitious. He never ever agrees to a draw. He wants to keep fighting. And with that, he loses many equal games, but he also wins many of them. And rook db1 is going in that direction. Now, very logically speaking, if we understand that this is a weakness and you want a knight there, then you would definitely go knight d7, knight c5, knight d3. But is it the right moment? Now is the moment. Can I block my rook, which is doing so well on this file? Is it good enough? Because see, if you go knight d7, I am thinking, what happens to knight c4? Actually, there's no threat. And I go knight c5, I'm still threatening knight d3. So, actually, for Vishy to find knight d7 is an... Oh my god, he finds it! He plays it! Vishy OP in the chat, guys. He's found knight d7. Anand understands that here the knight belongs to c5 to d3. And with 9 minutes on the clock for Topalov, this is getting nasty. He is a pawn down. Okay. He is a pawn down and he is in pawn up. Actually, Topalov is a pawn up. Anand is a pawn down. But his position is in big trouble now. Topalov has 9 minutes on the clock to figure out what to do. And guys, there's no time increment. Once you're down, you get only 10-second increment after 40 moves. We are on move number 29. So 11 more moves to make. Rakshit says you can only play knight d7 when you realize all your pieces are already on good squares except the knight that cannot be further improved. True. And also, you have to trust in yourself. Because see, it's not like this was the only move, right? There was an active forward making move like rook d4 where you are attacking the e4 pawn. It's so natural to make such a move. So आगे बढ़ रहे हो ना, ये तो पीछे आ रहे हो. But sometimes, you know, this cliched example, I'm going to use it again. Sometimes you have to pull your bow behind in order for the arrow to go forward. This is exactly, you're pulling your bow behind so that the knight can go like an arrow and sit on the d3 square. Loving this game actually, the strategic nature. Meanwhile, big news incoming. Wang Hao and Anish Giri have drawn their game after this brief kind of amazing tactics. Rook c1 was played, queen b4, takes, king c2. I think king e3, he did not like that queen b3 and then this pawn would hang and so on. So he went king c2, check here. He could not have gone here because I think queen e4 check and you lose the rook there. So that's the reason why king d3, they repeated. And now Armageddon time between Anish and Wang Hao. We'll follow that as well. But for now, back to Anand versus Topalov. Guys, I'm going to make a poll and I'm going to ask you, do you think that Vishy will actually win this game? Let's do the poll here. Do you think Anand will win this one against Topalov in classical time format? Not in Armageddon, but in classical time. Yes or no? Okay, I've put the poll there. Let's see what your thoughts are. Knight d7 on the board. People are saying 100% because of time. Time is, yes, it's a factor, guys. But if Topalov manages to find, you know, and the problem for Wesley now is that there is no easy way to even exchange stuff. Like if you go now rook c1, I'll go knight c5 and the pressure is still intact. ये knight फिर भी अंदर आ ही रहा है. The knight is still coming in. It's not easy. Maybe the knight f3. Possible. This might be the way. Like take. What about knight d3? Then you go queen d2. Pinning here, right? That might be the move. Right here. Queen d2. And okay, you can still fight on. Let's see what Topalov has done now. 5 minutes 50 seconds for Topalov. We have 5,330 people watching here. And guys, do like this stream. I think Vishy is getting close here. Very close. Because he's better in the position. And by the way, Topalov has made his move. He's played queen e2. Nice move by Wesley Topalov. I think that's a good move. But now, Anand has a choice. Okay. First, I want to ask the chat, what would you do here? Let me know your thoughts. In this position, if you were in Vishy's shoes, what would you do? तुम क्या करते? What would you do in this position after queen e2? Follow the path, yeah? With knight c5. Or would you go knight e5? So we have these two moves which are in the race. I love it that you guys like these two moves. So there are 165 people who say knight c5, 48 people who say knight e5. Now imagine, okay, that you play knight c5 and you really want to put your knight here. Well, this would be like I'm punching you in the face, or just, you know, I'm holding my hand here. You can't do a thing after that. My knight sitting on d3 is a monstrous piece. Okay, so you want to get out of here. So you go like queen b5. Please exchange. And then I take, right? So you take back. And then I put my knight on d3 where I attack your rook. Now this rook has really no squares apart from the fact that it can go to a2. And then I go knight b4. Again hitting your rook. You can't take this pawn because I'm going to take your knight here. So you go back rook b2. And at this position, it is a question to ask whether you want to make a draw. Like, you know, you can go knight e3, knight b4, but might as well continue rook b8 and pick up this pawn. And then you can tell yourself, oh, b3 is weaker than a5. And maybe Vishy is going to put pressure that way. Let's see. In the game, what is going to happen? Has the move been played by Anand? No, he's thinking he has 35 minutes. And by the way, guys, I don't know how many of you have played tournaments overall, like over the board tournaments, or even online for that matter. But I don't think in online chess it happens so often. But has it ever happened to you that you have a nice position and you have a lot of extra time, and then your opponent goes under time pressure, and then you are the one who starts feeling the pressure, not the opponent who is low on time, who has a bad position, but you feel the pressure even though you have more time and you have a better position. Has that ever happened? Yes, few, yes. Yeah. You know, I try to think about it always. Yes. I think it happens because we start feeling that we have something to lose now. Because we have such a great position, we have everything in our favor, and we start to really take pressure. कि यार अभी तो जीतना है यार, इसको उल्लू बनाते हैं, कुछ तो ट्रैप लगाते हैं. Like let's trap our opponent. But a very good advice that I have received, and in general it's a very good advice, is that don't play on opponent's time. If you have a good position, play the position, because if you play good moves in the position, you will be able to increase your advantage. It's so easy to listen to this, you know, like Frederick, who is like the founder of ChessBase, and he's not a very strong chess player. He's not rated, but if he played chess, his strength would be around 1800 and so. But he has mentored or kind of been with all the top players in the world, like Magnus and Vishy when he was young, and he spent time with all of them. And he said, I always give one advice to these top players before their games, which is play good moves. And it's something similar, when your opponent is under time pressure, like here, Vishy should not play on Topalov's time. He should not be like, oh, Topalov has 5 minutes. Let me find some move. Let me make it crazily complicated. Because if Topalov finds his way out, then, I mean, he's a good enough player that 10-second increment will easily help him. So Anand should play calmly. And I think with all the experience that Anand has, he will manage to do that. It's after all a question. It's after all something about, experience. People are saying, Sagar, please explain knight e5. Well, knight e5, the idea is the same. You want to go here. And I think again, the same concept. Yeah, you must exchange the queens. And then you take, and I think we'll reach the similar position. So actually, knight c5 or knight e5 might not really matter much. And I'm a bit surprised that Anand is thinking here, but I kind of understand, because Vishy knows that Veselin is looking for this move queen b5. So can I stop that move is a question. Can we do something like rook b8? Because we then stop queen b5. And I think this might be an interesting move from the time situation now. Here is where thinking on time could come into the picture, because now you can't play queen b5. So maybe you have to go knight c4, but then I go knight c5 looking at this square. And this makes the game complicated, because till you can't exchange the queens, it's not easy. So maybe Vishy might go for a slightly inferior move here, just because Topalov is low on time. What do you think, guys? Rook b8 is misplaced, says Chess Unblocked. He won't do it. I guess Chess Unblocked, it's not about putting the rook there for a long time. It's just to prevent queen b5. And then I go knight c5. But yeah, I think knight c5 is also possible. We'll have to wait and watch as to what Anand does. And also, guys, try to learn from Vishy how he's taking time, in this position. He is thinking for a good amount of time. He's not playing on Topalov's time. He's not putting him under pressure time-wise. He wants to find the best move here. And once you find a good move, the opponent will be under pressure. Adarsh Kaushal says, Sagar bhai, black is a pawn down. Why is the bar showing here an edge for him? Something like that you want to ask, like Adarsh. So the reason why, even though black is a pawn down but still fighting for an edge, is because the white's extra pawn is going nowhere. It's blocked right now. And on the other hand, these are the nice juicy squares that the black knight wants to sit on. Oh my god, Vishy Anand has played the move that I recommended. Guys. Okay, ठीक है, कभी तो like rook b8. Oh, in all the lines, he was playing queen b5. And then it was becoming like easier to play as white, because then his moves were simpler. And I understand that rook b8 is not a great move or the best move. But psychologically, guys, time pressure wise, Vishy understands that now Topalov will burn time. And we have not reached move number 40. 10 more moves to make with 4 minutes. This is world champion stuff. It's not only about playing the position, it's also playing the clock. And also not playing a terribly stupid move. Oh, good move. Why not rook c8? No, People are saying Vishy played Obu, Sagar recommended, now it's going to be a draw. No, no, no. Come on, guys. Trust me. थोड़ा trust रख दिखाओ position में. You know, Rook B8. What does Topalov do now? You know, Topalov is also thinking, करे तो करे क्या? Rook D1 he plays. He plays his Rook to D1, but now, guys. अब ये देखो. अब हम जाएंगे Knight C5. या अब हम जाएंगे Knight C5. And then we want to go to D3. Yeah, exactly. Abhishek Upadhyay, you're right. Let's go now, Knight C5. But again, Vishy will take his time. Of course, he won't rush into this. He has time here to figure out what to do. But I'm thinking, okay, let's think. Knight C5. Okay. I want to go to D3. Only move kind of here to stay in the game is Rook BB1. Also, yeah, by the way, the threat was Knight A4 takes and Queen B2. So Rook BB1. And not easy. This is complicated because now, oh, he plays Rook, Knight C5, Rook B1 is on the board, guys. Knight C5, Rook B1 on the board. Topalov managing to kind of speed up, at least makes a very accurate move. Again, very difficult to just subdue these players, these top players. Their defensive technique is very high. And so the move that is the most natural, they will see it. So like Knight D3, he will see that Knight C4 is here. So Vishy might not even go here. He might not. I don't think Anand will play Knight B3. Because Knight B3 takes. What do you think? Like, maybe this, maybe. Guys, what's your opinion? Should Anand take this pawn on B3? It is a pawn. I mean, he has a choice now. These are critical decisions to make. Should you take the pawn? Should you put your knight here? Should you play your rook to C2 to pin this here? And it all depends on how easy it is for white to wriggle out. So let's say if I go Rook C2, which looks like the most active move. How easy is it for white to wriggle out of this? Queen E3, maybe one move. Looks simple enough, right? Or Rook C1 to exchange the rooks. Yeah, maybe Rook C2 is not what Anand might do. But Vishy might think, let's win the pawn. Now, if you take the pawn, the only problem that I feel here is that you are getting yourself pinned as well in the position. So, I mean, maybe just, but what should, because A4 is hanging, right? So, what should he do? Is the question. Maybe Queen A6. Because see, if you take, this is already difficult position. A4 is hanging. And you might have to find a move like Rook D4. When after Rook B4, it's still not clear. Like takes, A takes B4. And whose pawn is faster? Maybe white's, maybe black's pawn here. So, yeah, I think Anand might want to do that. But he will also think that maybe if he does that, no, he goes Rook to D3. Interesting move by Vishy. He's played his Rook to D3 here. And with 3 minutes 29 seconds for Topalov. By the way, guys, I'm looking at that small board there for the time. I don't know if you can spot it, but I can see it. It's 3 minutes 16 seconds for Topalov. 26 minutes for Vishy. We are on move number 32. 8 more moves to make before 10-second increment per move comes in. Rook D3. But I think Topalov's move is clear, right? He has to play Knight C4. That's what I think. Knight C4, Rook B3 though. Yeah, Anand doesn't want to simplify. Yeah, exactly. Rook E1 by Topalov or what? No, I don't think he's played his move, guys. He hasn't played his move yet. He's thinking. Pressure on the position. Anish Armageddon has started. Yeah, let's also keep an eye on that. For sure, I'll check it out. But also 2 minutes for Topalov is actually real Armageddon here as well. Because he has no increment. E5 played. E5 played by Veselin. Maybe a very nice move. And again Topalov being very ambitious. He's like knight c4. Vishy will take this pawn. I don't want to give it. I don't want to give him anything. मतलब देखो ना तुम्हारे पास टाइम नहीं है. You don't have time yet you are being ambitious. That's again great quality of Topalov. E5. Now, do you go rook d8, putting pressure here, but then after knight c4, I think it's very clear that, let's say rook d1, rook d1, rook d1, queen d1, white is okay. He's still pawn up, he's supported his pawns, and okay, black maybe takes on b3, but then after check, here, check, maybe the game ends in a draw. So, that is a good move by Topalov. I like this move e5 actually. This is a good play by him. Meanwhile, I'll try to just figure out how to put Anish's game also here. Give me a second. Yeah, just trying to get it on the screen. The game of Anish Giri. Because he's playing an Armageddon against Wang Hao. It's always fun to follow Armageddons. It's a little bit complicated with so many boards here, but I think we should be able to manage. Yeah, I think we have it. Okay, all good. So this is Anish's game. Anish Giri versus Wang Hao on the screen. And Wang Hao has played his bishop back to f2. Seems like Anish has got a good advantage. How did this happen exactly? e4. They played the Najdorf again. Acha. h3, g4, b5. Anish knows his... What? King takes. King takes. Because if queen takes here, there is knight a5. And the bishop has no good squares. So in order to keep the a5 square controlled, you take with the king. f3 queen c7. Wow, wow, this is epic. And then the king goes back. You know, chess is amazing. And now Anish is like, oh, what happened? You said I took with my king somewhere. Not really. I just castled. Bishop a6 in the position. And nice one for Anish. He's got things working for him. Ask the bishop on g2. What is it doing in its life? It's kind of unclear. So I think Anish doing well. He's also reduced his time deficit by a bit. 3 minutes se thoda kam ho gaya hai. Let's quickly go and check what Anand is up to. So Vishy's position now. After e5, Anand still thinking about what to do. Because e5 was a nice move. By the way, we had the poll. Do you think Anand will win 87% think yes. 13% think it will be a draw. Meanwhile, we have a super chat by Jeffrin John who says, I love to see Vishy get back on the game as a fierce player that he was. I really hope that he does win this tourney. Well, Jeffrin, you have echoed the emotions of all the people in India who are watching this. But I would say it will be extremely difficult to win this tournament, considering that Magnus, you have Wesley, Anish, Radjabov, Mamedyarov. I mean, there are so many good players who are playing here. But you can never count out Vishy. By the way, now Anand thinking for his move, and actually speaking, I'm not really sure about what the move should be here. Guys, what do you think? Should Vishy play? How about Queen F4, says Hirak. Okay, Hirak, but what's your idea if I hit your knight here with Rook C1? Because then your knight moves, your Rook hangs. Maybe not so great, right? Yeah. I mean, if we think a little deeper, I get a feeling that it's already, whatever you do, White wants to go knight c4. It's like programmed in Topalov's head that his next move should be knight c4. So you want to play a move that makes him think that he doesn't play this move automatically, knight c4. So that is where I'm wondering, what will Vishy do? Maybe he goes rook d5. How about that move? Because if knight c4, yeah, not so sure. Not so sure, because then I can take, if you take here, I take on b3, maybe with the knight. Take with the queen, I have knight a4, putting pressure there. So, okay, while Vishy still thinks about his move, oh, he go, what? Guys. Again, the move that I suggested has been played, rook d5. Like, I'm just was trying to make that move knight c4 difficult. Okay, good. Not that I'm saying that, oh, I'm doing all these calculations. It's just that I'm trying to think a little bit more like what is the most uncomfortable move. And he goes knight c4, by the way. This has happened. This has happened on the board. And I think Vishy would have something against it. Because if you take, now I guess you must take, right? Now taking here doesn't make sense because I picked b3. So you take with the queen. And now if you take knight b3, that is a mistake, because at the very least, white has knight a5. And then if you take here, then this is hanging. So I think here is where Anand would go knight a4. And the position has simplified for sure. The position has simplified after rook a1, knight c3. Maybe queen comes up, queen b3, rook a5. Should end in a draw. And we might see an Armageddon. But let's see. Oh my god, this is the position on the board. And Topalov has only 18 seconds left. Oh my god. Topalov has only 18 seconds left on the clock. Knight a4 on the board. This has happened. What does he do? 6-5. He goes rook a1. Knight c3 now. This is what we were looking at, right? By the way, the move number after knight a4, rook a1 is still what? 36th move. Topalov has to make... Topalov is going to lose on time. If this time is correct, he's losing on time. There's no time left. He plays queen d6. I think there's no incremental move 40. We are on move 36. I don't know if the time is correct or not. And Vishy will take on b3. He has 18 minutes. Guess what's happening? He'll lose on time, right? Oh, he lost on time. He lost on time. Anand has won on time. Anand has won on time. The position is around even. It's around even. But guys, this rule 40 moves tak no increment strikes. Queen takes b3. Vishy has won on time. What? Time, guys. Samay is important in life. Time is important. Time is critical. Topalov used a lot of his time. He just didn't realize that there was no increment. Well, let's quickly go to Anish's game because that's going on. But what a result! What a result! And Anish, another game which might end in time is so important. Wang Hao has 3 minutes 48 seconds and Anish has just 3 minutes. Guys, this Armageddon, this tournament's time control, no one is getting a hang of it. No player. Everyone's faltering. Everyone's losing on time. Everyone's losing. Black is losing Armageddons like anything. But Vishy won. And Vishy's on 6 points. He's the sole leader of the tournament again. But I must tell you guys that last phase of the game where Anand didn't allow Topalov to exchange the queens, I think that was the reason why Topalov took so much time. Meanwhile, let's talk about Anand's game after the game of Anish is over here because he's playing an Armageddon and I think just about anything can happen. He goes knight c5. Okay, Anish now has e5 played in the position. Anish needs a draw, but he has 36 seconds. How do you fight 36 seconds against 3 minutes? If you reach move 40, you get 1 second increment. And Anish has reached move 40, by the way. He's on move 39. He will reach in one move. So he'll get 1 second increment per move. Knight e4 attacks the queen now and also the rook. So maybe Anish has got things under control here. Oh, but there is queen f3. And Wang Hao making use of his time. You know, like, I have time saved for myself and I'm going to use it now. So he's just taking his time for his move. Knight e4. What does Wang Hao do now? Queen f3 seems like the only move. Yeah, but whatever you play, like queen f3 or queen g2, the bishop is going to come back to d5. Wang Hao not making a move, and actually this might give Anish some confidence. And actually Anish is very quick with his moves on the board. But 1 second increment in over the board chess is very weird. You know, in ChessBase India originals, I was thinking about what the time control should be because it's over the board and, you know, I can decide and, you know, we at ChessBase India can decide the time control. And basically, we can't keep 1 second increment because players just making the move and pressing the clock itself takes some second. So actually, this 1 second increment is nothing. But what is Wang Hao doing? He's not making his move. He's down to 1. He plays bishop g2 and what? Knight f2? Knight f2. Now knight g4 check. Check. Knight g4 check. King g8. Knight f6. If bishop e8, knight e8. Oh, Anish is winning. Anish is winning. But Anish has 90. Anish, play. 1 second increment is nothing. Play knight f6. You have to take. What else? What? Maybe there's some lag. For sure. There's some lag for sure. The live broadcast of this tournament has been, you know, it's like you keep doubting yourself in this live broadcast. What has happened? Are we seeing it right? Suddenly the result comes like 1-0. And we're like, what? That was right. It's that moment where you want to see the result. What moves have happened? Okay, Anish is still alive. Anish is winning. He's winning. He's totally winning. He has a lot of. He has 6 seconds to make his 1 second per move. He's 5 seconds. Let's see if Anish wins this. That means he can play on a 1 second game. Vishy is world number 9. Oh wow! Amazing! 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 That is something, guys. And now, actually, Anish has got a draw. But he's 1 second. Anish will be like, he cannot, it's like he has to be, what, he's reached 7 seconds? I want to see the video of this game. How did he reach 7 seconds? I can't commentate. Really? Feeling something. I can't commentate on the draw. Suddenly draw has come on the board. Anish Giri has drawn and won the Armageddon. But seriously. No, I know it's increment, but guys, 1 second to lagta na move karne ko. Like you make the move and press the clock, you lose a second. But Anish might be making the moves at a speed of flash. Yeah, Anish drew. So that means Anish is on the, like he got 1.5 points. And Vishy beat Topalov. For all the people who are joining in, just so that you know what happened. And let me give you a very quick summary of Anand's game so that you know. The game started with d4, d5, Queen's Gambit accepted. Vishy clung on to his pawn. And then at this point, Topalov gave another pawn in the opening. But okay, Topalov got it back and he said that there are so many weaknesses. I don't have to worry about my compensation. Vishy was unhappy with his position and he said, let me give back one of my pawns. Topalov said, thank you so much. Material is now equal. Vishy said, not so thank you because I pin your bishop. Topalov said, not really, because here your back rank is weak, so you really can't win my bishop. After take, you will get back rank mated. So Vishy said, okay, fine, I'll play a6. Topalov now said, I'm pawn up instead of being a pawn down. Vishy said, fine, but I get compensation. My rook is on the b file, and after you take, I take here. And then I put my queen here. And then I exchanged one pair of knights. And here Topalov thought, oh, I'm a pawn up. I should still fight for the advantage. He played b3. But with every move, his position started getting a little bit more passive. And at this point, Queen e1 was maybe not the best. Rook c3, good move. Vishy, in spite of being a pawn down, was now starting to press in the position. Rook b1. I think this was the moment where Topalov should have said, okay, I want to draw the game. Not that I want to go rook b1, and now a fantastic move by Vishy Anand, knight d7. He put his knight there. He wants to go to c5 or e5. Queen e2, rook b8. Excellent move. Not in the position, but on the time. Psychological factor. If queen b5, rook takes. I mean, there were many positions where queen was coming on b5 in the lines. Like if you go on knight c5 here, then queen b5. So that's the reason why rook b8 was played. And after rook d1, knight jumped to c5. Rook b1, knight takes b. This didn't happen. Now Vishy played rook b3, rook d3. I think, yeah, rook d3 was played, and once again Topalov showing very very ambitious play. e5. Now Anand went. This happened? No. This didn't happen. He didn't go here. He played rook d5. Yeah, rook d5 happened. Correct. Rook d5 and then knight c4. He took knight a4, and now Topalov was down to his last seconds. There was no increment. He had to reach move 40 to get 10-second increment, but he was on move number 36. He played queen rook a1. He played 37th move queen d6, and his time was up, and Vishy won on time. But the last position, I still feel that after take, it's quite a complicated position, and I think Vishy still has some chances with knight coming to d5. The f2 pawn could be weak, the rook coming in. And so Anand actually won this game against Topalov. And yeah, what we are seeing here is actually that Vishy is now in the lead in the tournament. Let me just see if I can pull up the standings. Yes, Vishy Anand leading the tournament with 6 points. He's at the top. Wesley So on number 2 with 4.5. Anish Giri on 3 points. Anish has won 2 Armageddons. Magnus Carlsen on 2.5. Mamedyarov on 2.5. My God, Vishy has like a super lead over many players. Wang Hao on 2. And who is Vishy playing tomorrow? Tomorrow, he takes on Wang Hao. Okay. Then Wesley and then Magnus. Wow. Exciting times. Guys, what did you think about today's game? Oh, and Vishy has reached world number 9. Anand has surpassed Anish in rating. Wow. In classical rating. Yes. Arpit Gupta, Topalov did lose on time. With Vishy's performance, we are seeing here, of course, in Superbet, then in the Norway Blitz, and now here. Flag in classical, says Prabhav. Yeah, what a beast, says Supra Lex. Smarak says Vishy legend. Amazing. I thought, says KK. Anuvrat says good game. Yeah. Anand has reached world top 10. Amazing. Himang Ghosh says king. Maza aaya. Yeah, it was good. It was good fun and I think we enjoyed a lot. But let's meet again tomorrow for the 3rd round. And thank you all for tuning in. As always, I would recommend you to get this book, which is the first link in the description. The Anand Files. Read about Anand Topalov, Anand Kramnik, Anand Gelfand matches. Phenomenal stories. In fact, many of the players have recommended it. In fact, even Vidit is recently reading this and he loves it. So it's a great book. And you can get it from the ChessBase India shop delivered to your home for a very special price. And also I would highly recommend, we don't have this in ChessBase India, but it's on Amazon. You can get it. This is the life story of Anand. So you can get to know from both perspectives, you know, the same. Many of the stories are repeated, like a Topalov story from Anand's point of view in this, and from his seconds, and from the author's perspective in Anand Files, which is written by author named Michel Abel. So guys, I'll take your leave, and while I leave, let me just play this final ad of ChessBase and Mega Database. If someone wants to get it, it's the second link in the description. Until then, guys, thank you all for following. Bye. ChessBase 16 is a powerful software where you can save your games and analyze them. You can also create databases and manage them. It's a powerful tool for any serious chess player and is used by all the top grandmasters in the world of chess, be it Carlsen, Anand, or any other tournament player. The best database that works along with ChessBase 16 is Mega Database 2022. The database opens inside of ChessBase and has over 9.2 million games, with over 100,000 of them being analyzed and annotated by top grandmasters across the world. The biggest advantage of this database is that you can search any position and get to know who has played it before with the reference feature. You can also prepare professionally against your next opponent, which will help you to gain precious rating points in your next tournament. Get the ChessBase 16 and Mega Database now. Link is in the description.